Hello, and thank you for joining me tonight. I go by INNATE, and this video is a distance Reiki session with the intention of helping to calm or work with or not be so thrown out of whack by Mercury Retrograde. It's raining right now, so I hope that noise is cool and not something that's going to bother you. You might not even hear it, I guess. So, I have a candle, which I'm going to be using as my working candle for this session, and basically setting my intention into it. If you hear any minor huffing and puffing, it's my dog. The tripods make him nervous. So, let's set our intention for the flame of this candle to carry this energy through the ether to benefit anyone that would like to tap into it at this time or at the time that they're watching this. Specifically, we're setting an intention to work with Mercury Retrograde and learn from it or do what we need to do so that we're not fighting the current or working against the energy and using it to benefit and serve us. So I'm just going to light this candle. And I'm actually going to place it in the background so you can see it. I do have a few stones picked out for this purpose. The first being Kambaba Jasper. And you'll notice that all of these are green stones. So if you find that Mercury Retrograde really affects you, I would suggest to either carry or wear a jewelry or a pocket stone with green stones in it. The best one, which I'll show you, is green aventurine. I find that to be very useful. Kambaba Jasper is one of my ultimate favorite stones. It's really cool looking. It has these little eyes of black in it. And it helps with release and retrogrades. They're not always about release, but retrograde is like going back over your work. You could look at it that way. That's one way to look at it. Like, you're working, you're going on your path, you're going on your life, and the retrograde in whatever planet it's in makes a difference. But a Mercury retrograde is very specific with like throat chakra stuff, I would say. So like communication, definitely technology. Like, you don't want to go buy a new camera during this time. You don't want to make any big deep conversations like the priority for this time frame either. It's best to like wait and consider what you're gonna say, or just like let it resonate, because things might change. That retrograde is like pulling it back, so things can either be worked out better or given more energy or just looked at again. So it's good to use it for that. It's also good, like I was saying, for releasing things that might be holding you back, or you might find yourself doing again and again, which aren't serving your cause or what you're trying to get done. So here's the Kambaba. important thing that I need to get across to you, and I should have opened with this, is that the only thing that is destined in your life is your birth, who you are when you're born, the person you come into, and the timing of experiences. These experiences that I'm speaking of, though, are choices. Astrology indicates to you along your life path when these choices will arise, and you choose which way you go on your path. That's how I use astrology. We're not destined to be like, I'm a Cancer. Oh, like, I have to be the most emotional person, right? I can't get anything done. Like, it doesn't work that way. We're all very different. We have free will, and the stars do not dictate, whether we're going to end up miserable or happy, or if we're cursed in one way or another, or blessed. It doesn't work that way. It indicates when we're going to have these periods in our life that may bring up these two choices that we make, and hence that directs our path. So my last stone for this session is this really gorgeous piece of epitope. I say gorgeous because it's very sparkly when you roll it around just setting this intention to assist with Mercury Retrograde, to assist with the uncomfortable qualities of Mercury Retrograde and help us to make the right choice when these occurrences happen along our path that necessitate us kind of making a decision so that we are always improving. It's fine to take steps back from time to time. We all need to do that, and we learn from that. So Mercury Retrograde is a little bit of a step back, or a time to at least confirm that everything is as planned, everything is in the direction that we wish to go with our lives. Specifically areas of expression. Mercury retrograde can make some people very anxious or out of sorts feeling. And that's okay too, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you genuinely feel like this isn't going to help you and the stone doesn't help you and Mercury retrograde is very, very tough for you, just consider what choices you've made and where you can kind of re-examine and perhaps choose a different direction or path or option. So I'm just going to begin with some Reiki symbols to send into your aura and affect you through time and space. So not only to make this Mercury retrograde more productive and less uncomfortable, but also everyone moving forward and everyone in the past and every retrograde on every dimension that your energy exists. When to remove or help to change karma. And what I mean by that is the karma is also part of our choice. We choose to, in a way, have negative karma and positive karma. And before you go and leave me a mean comment about how I don't know what I'm talking about, just know that I'm not trying to convince you of anything, and I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong or right. This is how I see things, and other people do as well. So with the rain, it's really coming down now. So if you can hear it, maybe use that visualization to help it wash away any preconceived thinking or thought patterns that you have about Mercury retrograde, and look at it as a blessing in a way and an opportunity to enhance your personal growth and your clarity. But back to karma. Karma can be interpreted in the sense of choosing to see the good or the bad. We're going to have experiences no matter what. These experiences are going to come up. And our karma, you could say, is how you look at this experience. Do you see it as something positive, or are you only focused on the negative? This goes back to that thing I've quoted so many times at this point, which is we are not punished for our sins, but by them. So it's just something to keep in mind. Even just how you feel about something or what you focus on in the realm of what you're doing, what your day-to-day is, can help to change your karma. And I just had this conversation with Chris, hello, a viewer turned Reiki attuned individual out there helping people and making a difference in his own way. So it was nice to have that conversation. We're now going to focus on the emotional aspect of this Reiki session, allowing us to develop emotional maturity. Maybe through this retrograde we need to kind of go back and see how we've reacted to something, and with the information that we now have, in that hindsight 2020 kind of perspective, looking back on a situation you may have had emotional reactions to that led you down, not the most pleasant way, or that could have been handled better. You might be able to say, now we can reevaluate that and bring in a more mature emotional reaction, or one that just serves you better. Just to supercharge this session, just going to throw these in a few times to carry it out so it lasts for the entire duration of Mercury Retrograde. And if you'd like to watch this video again, I would suggest you do. It'll help. Reiki does build up in the system just like a vitamin or a mineral. Not physically, but you know what I mean. Alright, so now I'm just going to put my hand directly on your throat again to just balance. So, I'm putting one of my hands like behind your head and one just at your throat, but I'm not going to push on it or scare you or anything. So, just sending a lot of energy, balancing into this area to help you communicate effectively, or know just when is not a good time. Just let it kind of resonate within you for a little longer before you can have that need to express it just for this time being. It kind of brings in clarity to have these moments of reflection. Okay, great. So now I'm just going to be fluffing your aura and just like making it all thick and rich and comfortable, like a cocoon or a sleeping bag or something. Rest your fingertips, rest your hips down your leg, and just brush it down your leg, down your arm, and down your that you were able to enjoy this session or have it serve you in some way. If you're into it, I hope that this energy reaches you and does exactly what you need it to do. If you're not into it and you watch this just for relaxing purposes, that's awesome too. I'm happy to connect with you in any way that whatever form that takes. I just have to say again that astrology, eclipses, retrogrades, where your moon is, where this or that is, what your sun sign is, that's all really a useful tool, like a map, in helping you to understand yourself if you're into it, if you want to dive into it. But it doesn't dictate your circumstance, and it doesn't dictate, the end result. It doesn't dictate anything like that other than the time in which these choices or these events will happen in your life that give you this opportunity to go one way or the other, or to understand, maybe what you might have a challenge with and how you can kind of twist it around to use it to your benefit, or validate that challenge and then grow from it in another way. It can be used in many different ways, so I'm not here to convince you of anything like that, but I just wanted to say again that you're not a victim to astrology in any way, shape, or form. Thank you so very much for your continued love and support. I'm so incredibly grateful. We're in Leo season right now. I'm definitely feeling it. I'm like buying myself makeup and jewelry and stuff. Very Leo. But I'm very much looking forward to September. I feel like I hold myself to my own standard. I don't feel pressured. But I know that this summer I had to put my focuses elsewhere for good reason. But I'm very excited to have just some greater stability or routine coming up in September. Like my son will be back in school and all that kind of stuff. So what I mean is just thank you for